So I will tell you that I call this a monopoly on relentlessness. This word relentlessness or relentlessness is the quality being relentless, lives and moves on the American left. Every single item they push for, whether it's open borders, LGBTQ, rights for all, and forcing people to use the proper pronouns, whatever the pronouns of the week that you're allowed to use are, and diminishing America's role in the world, and pushing for a massive climate agenda that surrenders America's comfort and our ability to live in the lives the way we do. All of that, the left never compromises one iota. Much of what the left does, in fact, if you listen to the show yesterday, I had these two young men on who are here from Venezuela, and they were talking about how socialism came to power in Venezuela and how it was sold by politicians using exactly the same arguments that today's Democrat Party uses. I'm not talking about Bernie Sanders and AOC who admit they're socialists. I'm talking about the average Democrat in this country. The average Democrat in this country is pushing agenda items that sound just like the socialists of Venezuela who came to power promising everything will be free and everything will be wonderful. You'll have utopia, and you know how Venezuela is now. Well, one thing that the left is trying to resist, Nancy Pelosi has said, oh, we're not all socialists. Bernie's a socialist. AOC might be a socialist. Rashida Tlaib, she's a socialist, but, we're just the Democrats. And you have to understand that that's not true. The agenda of today's Democrat Party is the socialist agenda. It's just toned down. They are careful not to use that word, careful to try to distance themselves from that word. But when they run on taking money away from rich people because they shouldn't have so much, when the government should decide how much people should earn, these are Elizabeth Warren ideas, and take away if you earn more than this, the government should tax your net worth because the government should decide how much money anyone's allowed to have. They are socialists. So there was a game that Hasbro, the toy company, came up with, and it is this one. I don't know if you're going to be able to read it, but I'll just show it to you. You can, because I just did this, you can purchase this at Amazon. I urge you to go to Amazon and order this. I got it in 2 days at my front door. It is called Monopoly Socialism. So Hasbro, the toy company, came up with a game, Monopoly Socialism. And on the subject of how relentless the American left is, almost immediately, some left-wing professor came up with this determination, this outrage. How dare the Hasbro make fun of socialism? How dare Hasbro have a game? And among the funny things in the game, because the point of it is you play a normal Monopoly like we all probably played as kids, but all the rules are like socialist rules. So, for example, when you go collect money in the bank, like, you get to go around the board and go home and collect 200 or whatever it is. Well, there's no money there. So everybody playing the game has to put money in because there is no money there. And the game is set up so the bank continually runs out of money. And so everyone playing has to keep putting more money in because there is no money, which is part of the problem socialists endlessly encounter. The famous Margaret Thatcher, you eventually run out of other people's money. The game was a spoof on socialism, but the left in their relentless mode was not going to let this game sit. So they complained. They had this leftist professor put out a tweet, I'm outraged, this is terrible, they shouldn't be making fun of socialism, blah, blah, blah. So Target, that used to sell this game, the Target stores, pressured by leftists who were saying, hey, you shouldn't be making fun of socialism, that's really bad. You're mocking socialism, that's terrible. So Target, because they always capitulate to the leftists, pulled it off their shelves. Never mind, we're not going to sell it. Really sorry, we didn't mean to make fun of socialism. So Target pulled off their shelves. As I say, Amazon has it. And I don't know if Hasbro's website had. Someone had texted me to say that Hasbro's website, the toy company, pulled the game off. But I just want to point out, I think it's an amazing thing to think about. Leftists are so determined to normalize socialism in this country, to normalize the idea that really the government kind of owns everything. So the government certainly can decide to take away the net worth of someone who has too much money. Or they can raise taxes on rich people just because the government thinks they earn too much money. the idea of the left in this country is not just relentless in their overt, confrontational, right in your face agitation about every left-wing issue there is. It is also the subtle, surreptitious determination to shift American society's thought about issues. So very recently, there was a poll of Americans talking about, essentially what the question was, should the rich pay higher taxes? Okay, so it's something like 2/3 of Americans said, yeah, the rich should pay higher taxes. Now, people, just stop and think about how crazy that is. How, to start with, who already pays virtually all the taxes in this country are the high income earners. We've had these numbers on the show many times. It's already the rich who pretty much pay all the taxes. Number two, the assumption of the question is that the government somehow has the right to take money away from people because they really shouldn't have as much as they have. It is people sitting home in their couches someplace watching television going, yeah, they should pay more. No context, no much do they already pay? What does the government spend it on? How much money does the government waste? What kinds of programs do we have in place? And how are those programs actually engendering the growth of socialism? None of that. But understand this push to have Americans lose sight of the virtues and values of freedom and free markets and free enterprise and the self-reliant can-do American spirit that caused us to brought us to where we are. This is every day being chipped away at by the leftists, so they can't even tolerate a game that involves socialism. And when I talk about the left being relentless, I don't just mean that they file lawsuits, which they do. They hassle corporate boards, which they do. We've had stories on the show about corporate boards forced into firing board members and individuals because they dared to make a contribution to a cause that the left doesn't like. Leftism is relentless, and the only remedy, the only basis, the only place for the only way that people who love and actually understand this country to fight back against this is to be on our side doubly relentless, doubly patriotic, doubly cheerfully patriotic. But we have to understand America for the last decades has been chipped away at and chipped away at and chipped away at by leftism, by people denigrating the idea of America, the history of America, the truth of what America is, the greatness of America, at the same time tarnishing America with all sorts of accusations. You get young people leaving high school and they think the answer to the question of what kind of country America is, well, it's got a really, really dark history of intolerance, and it's kind of a fascist country, and it's really, really a racist country. The left has been working away at young people, at children in schools, in high school, and in colleges, in academia, and in media, and in Hollywood, and in music, and in politics. The left has been chipping away at the love of America, the appreciation not just for the country, but the greatness of our history, the extraordinary ideas upon which we were founded. And they do it not just in the bold, confrontational, file a lawsuit, make ugly accusations, hold marches, but in much more subtle ways. The anti-American left undermines America day in and day out. The way to fight back is to be on the side of America and speak up and speak up and speak up and speak up. Do not let this happen. We have a huge, or to use President Trump's term, huge job ahead of us of restoring love of America so that the ideas that President Trump voices are what the average Joe says, well, of course that's true. Of course America, of course we look out for our own people in our trade deals. Of course we try to foment and encourage love of America. Of course we try to bring jobs back. Of course we inspire people to be self-reliant. These are normal, healthy American ideas that have been maligned by the left for decades. And we are now at a huge turning point time in the 2020 elections. This is why the left is putting everything they have into impeaching President Trump, because they can see that President Trump has reignited in the American people the idea of love of this country, love of security in our borders, the American identity, the identity of freedom and strength, and a strong military that stands up for what's right, and a country that has bustling economy with freedom that naturally provides the opportunity for people to thrive and grow and have jobs and take care of their own families. It is a people being revived by these ideas, and the left is trying to destroy them all. This is why they are so determined to bring down President Trump.